Hi everyone, I'm Luis from luisreview.com. Here welcoming you to another little video podcast episode. And if you follow me, you know that basically what I just like to do is that I'm a huge fan of music, movies, and I just use this platform just to chat a little bit about the things that I like, and hopefully if people share interest, we can start a conversation maybe in the comments. It hasn't happened yet, but I'm hopefully it will Sundays happen. It has happened on the webpage though. Anyway, remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Subscribe or follow me on www.luisreview.com. And I'm on Facebook and I'm on Instagram. If you go to my webpage, you have the link to go there. And this video will also be on Spotify, iTunes, and where you listen to podcasts, because I will download the audio extract of the video. And I wanted to do a video for this weekend, and I was searching for topics, and I had a few. I had one where I was going to pick my 90s favorite albums, which I will do because I haven't done it. I did that with the 80s, so I'm going to go with the 90s. I had another one about MTV, which again I will do, but I wanted to do something different. And when I say different, it's just that I seldom do these videos about movies, and movies are a big part of my life too. Not only music, movies are also very important to me. They are part of what I enjoy most. So I wanted to do something. So I stumbled upon the idea of picking up my favorite performances, and for that, which I'm interested in doing, but I have to do research upon the films that I've seen and go calmly and picking them up. But I wanted to do the video today on an actor, which was the first performance. While I was thinking of different performances, his was the first one that came to mind, and I said, you know what? I'm going to do a video dedicated to this actor. And this actor's name is Paul Newman. Paul Newman is one of the best actors, in my opinion. I mean, he's had a long career since the 50s, I believe. To the day he died in 2008. I think his last proper film was doing the voice of Doc Hudson in the movie Cars. He passed on 2008 at the age of 83, so he lived a good life. He was married 2 times, but he lasted with his second wife, Joanne Woodward, from 1958 people until he passed. And I'm gonna go right now. My source is Wikipedia. I wanna give a little info on the man before just going into his films and into his work. Of course, I haven't seen all his films, and there's one film that I really want to see, and it's called The Hustler. I've saw The Color of Money, but I haven't seen The Hustler, and I want to see it. So I'm gonna pick of all the films that I've seen of Paul Newman. I'm gonna give you my favorite 12. But I want to go a little bit about his life per se, not only his career. I think what I admire most about him was the things he did off the screen. I don't know if you know, but he founded Newman's Own, which is a line of food products that I think the proceeds, all proceeds after taxes, will be donated to charity. And one of the charities is the Hole in the Wall Gang Camp. And that camp, what basically does is takes seriously ill children and takes them to this place, and I think it's based on the Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, Hole in the Wall Gang. And I think he just gives them like a camp, and he just takes them to this great place. He's a major donor, was a major donor on the Mirror Theater, alongside Dustin Hoffman and Al Pacino. And he was also into auto racing. He was really big on that, which I imagine, I think he would love the movie Cars. So basically, he passed in 2008. He was diagnosed with lung cancer, and after receiving treatment, well, he finally died on September 26, 2008. But he was 83, so I think he lived. I mean, we all want. I mean, we all want everyone we love to last forever, and we can't. But 83 years old. It's a good life, I think, and he's been nominated for a lot of Academy Awards, and I think he to me, if you take a look at all his nominations, to me he's compared with Al Pacino and Leonardo DiCaprio in the fact that they've been nominated for so many roles, and when they finally win, at least in the case of Newman and DiCaprio, because I did like Scent of a Woman, although I believe Pacino should have won for at least Serpico. But Paul Newman was nominated for a lot of great performances, and he won for The Color of Money, which was not his best in my opinion. He was great because an actor is great. So, but he did win an honorary award, and he won the humanitarian Oscar also. But he was nominated for Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, great performance. The Hustler, HUD, Cool Hand Luke, Absence of Malice, The Verdict, all amazing performances. And I can say that maybe The Verdict he lost to Ben Kingsley, which was Gandhi, which is understandable, Gandhi. But I don't know. I mean, on Golden Pawn, Henry Fonda, I haven't seen it, so I'm not gonna judge it. But I don't know. Some of the winners, to me, I don't know. I think he should have won. Anyway, so basically, that's just a little bit about the man himself. Now, I mean, when it comes to his films, he has done so many films. That to go mentioning them one by one, it would be too much. And like I said, I haven't seen them all, so I'm just gonna talk about the ones that I've seen, and just give you my favorites or to my least favorites. So, of all the ones that I've seen, I'm gonna start at number. I'm not gonna number them anyway. So, towards the end of his career, he started in this film, Where the Money Is. This film, he starred alongside Linda Florentino and Dermot Mulroney, which I think is a good cast. And the movie was a thing about this man who was in a nursing home pretending to have a massive stroke, and when he gets out, I think they want to do like this big heist and rob something. It was a fun film, but it was, one of those movies where you get, that they do it mainly because they just want to act. It was not that big of a meaningful film. So that's why I kind of put it last. At 14, I'm going to put Message in a Bottle. This was after Titanic, and this was a romantic film where Al Pacino. Paul Newman played a supporting role. He played the father of Kevin Costner's character, and it was a melodramatic film. After Titanic, I felt like in every love story, one of them had to die, which I think was not necessary at all. So that's why, and at number 13, I'm gonna put Twilight. Twilight was kind of this big detective kind of like film with a good cast, though. I mean, it had Paul Newman, Susan Sarandon, Gene Hackman, Reese Witherspoon, Tucker Channing, and James Garner. But the film didn't work as well in terms of the story. So basically now, and I'm gonna mention this one, and this one I haven't seen, but I saw the trailer today, and I'm gonna try to see it somewhere because I tried to see if it was available for rent, and it was not available for rent. I'm gonna have to buy it on eBay, the DVD version that exists, and it's called Mr. and Mrs. Bridge. It stars Paul Newman with his wife Joan Woodward, and it's an honorable mention because I can't rank it because I haven't seen it. But based on what I saw in the trailer, it looks like an amazing performance by Paul Newman and a good film. It has a lot of interesting storylines based on what I saw in the trailer that I think would make a good film. So I want to mention that in an honorary fashion because I haven't seen it. So now at number 12 of Paul Newman's best films of the ones that I've seen, is Fat Man and Little Boy. Now this film is mainly about the process of making the atomic bomb. Basically, Paul Newman plays J. Robert Oppenheimer, who was a physicist. And I think mainly the movie is about the process of doing the construction of the nuclear weapons program, and basically Fat Man was one of the bombs. They had two, and one was a fat man and one was a little boy. So that's it. That's basically what the film is about. It's just it's a film about that. It's a good film, and I think Paul Newman delivers obviously a good performance. It has a good cast. Also, I think John Cusack, Laura Dern. It has a good cast. So it's not a hero. In terms, because you know what the atomic bomb did anyway. But it's a good film. Paul Newman delivers a great performance, like he usually and absolutely almost always does. Number 11, I'm going with Absence of Malice. This film stars also Sally Field, and it's a great film. I saw this film, and mainly it's about this reporter played by Sally Field, who I believe is a story that she wrote. Basically, puts him out as a guilty of a crime, and it's just kind of like this story where he was innocent, and he was falsely accused by this newspaper, this news story, and he develops a relationship with Sally Field as she's trying to write the story about him. So it's a good film. I absolutely love Paul Newman's performance, and the twist at the end. It was a great movie. It was a great film. I think I saw it. There's a more detailed review on my webpage. But it's a great performance by Paul Newman, and it's a great film. Actually, it's a great film. It's directed by Sidney Pollack, which is a great director. And there you go. It's from 1981, and you get that Michael Gallagher is the son of a criminal, and some investigators want to get information from him. And to achieve this, they leave a file for a reporter to read, saying that they are investigating him in a murder, which he had nothing to do with. This, of course, has an immense effect on his life, and he goes on trying to clear his name. Basically, that's kind of the brief summary that I did when I reviewed the film. It's a great film. It's a great film. So moving on. Let's see. Let's continue to move on. At number 10, I put the movie Blaze. Now this movie is kind of crazy. It's based on a true story about this mayor who falls in love with this woman called Blaze Starr, which was a stripper and burlesque star, and he was Earl Long, so he was a politician who was the governor of Louisiana. The movie stars Paul Newman and Lolita Davidovich. Sorry, and it says it's a fictional story of the later years of Earl Long, was the governor of Louisiana, and how he falls in love with this woman. It's a crazy comedy. It's a funny film. I think Paul Newman, it's so crazy in that film, but he gave a good performance, and I remember enjoying the movie a lot. I used to see it a lot in the 90s when they played it a lot on HBO, and it's a good movie. It's just fun. It's not a masterpiece, but it was just a fun film. It's just a fun film. At number 9, and you know what? Based on my notes, I should have switched this one. So above Absence of Malice should be number 9, and number 11 was this film called Harry and Son. This is a very melodramatic movie that was directed by Paul Newman. It was about this father and his son. His son was sort of like this dreamer, and his father was his work as a construction worker. Maybe wanted a lot more for his son. So they clashed a little bit. I think he wanted surf, so he was not that work oriented, and I think that made clashes between him and his father. So it's a melodramatic movie, and the big flaw for this film was the cast of the actor who played his son. I don't know, I didn't like his performance. But the rest of the film works. I mean, you got Ellen Birkin, Joanne Woodward, O.C. Davis. So it was a good movie. It was directed by Paul. And I remember seeing that also on HBO. At a time when I didn't really understand who Paul Newman was, his performance in this film grabbed me. I thought it was very good performance. And okay, so moving on. The Verdict. The Verdict is an amazing movie. The Verdict is one of Paul Newman's most moving performances. It's directed by Sidney Lumet, and in this movie he plays kind of this lawyer who's down and out. He's a heavy drinker, and he's trying to get back at being a lawyer, and he gets a big case of a malpractice of this big powerful church kind of hospital, because I know the church is involved somehow, and basically he represents the family of a patient who died due to the malpractice. And what a film it is. I mean, it's a great film, great performance by Paul Newman. I mean, it's just, you kind of feel that he's really down and out. I think he was able to really portray this character the way he needed. Believable. It was believable. I mean, you see the hurt, the pain, and it's an amazing film. At number 6 for me, it's the movie called HUD. Now, one of Paul Newman's biggest traits is that he was likable. He was a likable guy. He was good looking. He was, and HUD is kind of such a despisable character, and that's why you see that Paul Newman is a great actor, because any trait of that lovable human being disappeared when I saw that film. I mean, I'm not saying that. I think he was able to break away from that. I mean, not that he stopped being that, but it was a despisable character who had odds and ends with everyone, his family. He was self-centered. And he set out with his father, who owns his ranch, and you get the other aspect of it, which is the teenager who actually looks up to him. But I mean, the performance is just amazing because of that, because he's a character who is not likable at all, and he was able to break away from his own image and bring us this character perfectly. And the film, it's hard to see just because of that, because this character, there are some traces of good things in it, but when you see the real reasons, you find that he was just doing it for himself. So I mean, it's not the most likable character, but an amazing movie nonetheless. So moving on, I'm choosing Cat on a Hot Tin Roof. Now this film stars the beautiful Elizabeth Taylor, and basically it's this family who goes to reunite on Big Papa's house. I think that's how they used to call him, Big Daddy. And you get couples, two sets of couples. You got Paul Newman, who's married to Elizabeth Taylor, but he hasn't gone physical with her in a long time. He's having trouble accepting something in his life, and he has a cast in the movie. He's at odds with his father also, just like Hud. He's depressed. He's been drinking, and basically, what they're trying. Anyway, the performance is just beautiful. I mean, again, not as hateable as Hud, but difficult to like also because he's really bitter, and the way he treats other people around him is it's kind of hard. But it's a great performance. I think it was an Oscar-nominated performance, and who knows, maybe he should have won it. I don't know. But Elizabeth Taylor was also great. So just for those two performances, it's worth watching the film. So now we're going to the top 4 of Paul Newman films, and the fourth for me is Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kids. I'm not a big fan of westerns. There are only a few set of films that I like, and this one is one of them because it's so unique. And Paul Newman and Robert Redford are great together. They have great chemistry, and this film is funny, suspenseful. It has great scenes, great scenery, and it's kind of a different western film. You get these two unlucky bandits trying to escape something they call the Force, and right until the end, it's a tour de force performance by Paul Newman and Robert Redford. And if you want to see two actors just really giving great performance together, check this one out. And also check number 3, which is The Sting, with also stars Paul Newman and Robert Redford. And this is one of the best films that I've seen. It's one of those films that the less you know, the better, because the ending is amazing. It's a fun film. It's one of those films you don't know what's real, what's false. Paul Newman plays kind of this mentor, con artist to Robert Redford, and he's just great. It's a great movie. Paul Newman was so great in it, and it's an amazing film. And you know what? Forget the numbers because I skipped a few. I skipped Road to Perdition. And Road to Perdition is one of his last roles, of course, and he stars alongside Tom Hanks. And he has few scenes, but his scenes are so powerful and amazing. And one of the best scenes that I've seen, it was when he was with Tom Hanks, and they were talking about, because Tom Hanks wanted him to give his son up because his son killed his family. And you can see the character's pain. And just Paul's performance was so beautiful in it when he expressing that he cannot give him the key so he can go kill his son. That he knows that he did was wrong, and now he's mourning the son he lost. Talking about Tom Hanks, it's a great film. It's a great movie, and his performance was enough for his last Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actor. So I have 2 more films that I'm going to be talking about, and those 2 films, the first one is Nobody's Fool, and this movie came in 1994, I believe, and it's a story about this man named Sully. He's kind of his own man, and years ago he abandoned his wife and his son, and oddly enough, I think they lived very nearby, but they hardly saw each other. And he took care of an old lady who was a landlord. He took care of his best friend. He took care of a lot of people. It was a small town. He worked as a construction worker. And one day, out of a coincidence, his son found him on the road and gave him a lift. And there he met his grandchildren. And I think, having seen his grandchildren, something sparked in him. And he started to kind of want to get back to have a relationship with his son. It's a beautiful performance by Paul Newman. That year, I think it was the year with a lot of great nominees. I think it was Al Pacino. I think he won. Was for Santa Woman, Malcolm X, and I think Paul Newman was also in the group nominated. But it's a great movie. It's a touching film. It's a nice story, and his performance is the main factor for me in the film. He's the reason I see it. I mean, he's funny. He's moving. He's a character who is stubborn, but you just love him. I don't know. It's a beautiful performance and one of his best performances in my opinion. But my favorite performance by Paul Newman is the movie Cool Hand Luke. This is a tour de force. This is him. I mean, the movie has few actors, and it's about a chain gang. You know, he's arrested for drunk and ruining property, and he's a rebel, and he challenges everything about the chain gang, and it's one of his best performances. I mean, he's a terrific character to play, and to me, one of the best scenes in the film is where he finds out his mother dies, and he picks up the banjo, and he starts playing this song as a tribute to her, and it's such a moving moment. And Paul's performance is so on point. I love it to this day. It's one of my favorite films. So anyway, this is basically kind of a brief look at his career, because there are a lot of films that he's in that I haven't seen. But I did want to kind of put a spotlight on Paul Newman and recommend, if you haven't seen most of these films that I mentioned, these are what I think are his best. But I'm sure there's a lot more that are good films. The Color of Money with Martin Scorsese and Tom Hanks is a good movie. I didn't mention it because it's not my favorite film, even though he was great in it. But it's a film to see. It's a kind of like a sequel to The Hustler, which was a big Paul Newman film that I want to see that I haven't been able to see yet. But anyway, I just wanted to kind of share and do this little blog post episode about a great actor who I surely would like to still be seeing on the screen. So, Paul Newman, thanks for all the movies and thanks for all the memories. And I'll see you on another video blog post that I do. Remember, follow me, check it, subscribe to the channel, and take care.